welcome to one of what will hopefully be many weekly stock market updates. So, what I plan on doing here in the future is taking at least one day a week, typically either on the weekends, so we see where the market falls, that are Fridays, so we see exactly what the week entailed in terms of the stock market. And this one, first one I'm doing, is a particularly interesting week because it was quite a wild week for the stock market, and I think you can see it. So for now, I'm on Market Watch. I use several different applications in order to get more info on stocks, look at charts, everything like that, and we'll discuss that at a future date. But just for today, for the sake, I'm on Market Watch. I want to do some varying websites, not always be on the same ones every video, so that way you see a couple different websites and applications that are useful. So first, just to start off, we're going to be looking just at the three major indices, as it were, and see exactly what happened that week, because these are mostly encompass a majority of the stocks that are in the United States, and you'll get a good idea of what exactly is going on based off of these stocks. So, first up here would be the Dow Jones Industrial Average, DJIA. So, from the beginning, this was a crazy week to start. Everything was seemingly good. Last week was very nice. And then we get into this week. So, we open up right around the 26,000 range. Crazy. 26,000. We've been on a great hot streak lately. Obviously some up and downs because of crazy news coming out, but this is obviously over the weekend. Previous weekend, we had Donald Trump announce a couple tariffs on the remaining imports from China. The remaining $300 billion worth of imports, we were going to put a 10% tariff starting in September. Naturally, anytime that happens, that scares investors away from the market, causes people to sell, and that's where you see a decrease in stock price in most every stock as is. Some obviously it depends, but both Chinese stocks and American stocks were hurting for sure. These first 2 days were crazy. As you see, we had 2 days where we were down around 1 to 2%, and you see we had a slight recovery on Monday. Monday was just not looking good. Tuesday was a slight recovery day. We slightly recovered from Monday. And then once Wednesday hits, completely falls. That was one of the worst days we've had in terms of point loss on the Dow Jones in U.S. history. I think it was 6th or 7th worst in terms of point loss, which obviously isn't necessarily fair just because it's such... The value is so high right now that, points not necessarily... It's better to look at percentage decrease if you're going to be judging based off of that. But it was technically, in terms of points lost, one of the worst days we've had. And then from there, we had a steady rise again, and we finally got back to pretty much even. On the week, down 0.75%. So overall, while it was a very crazy week, it was also a very boring week where we didn't see really any gain or loss. So it was pretty much just a flat week, even though we had several days that were extremely crazy. So to make up for that Monday and Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, we were up 1 to 2% each as well. So it pretty much broke even. And those are very nice days to make up for it. So now we're going into next week looking pretty much the same way we were into this week, just without any crazy news at least. So we'll obviously see what happens. If there's any important news, we'll go ahead and cover that and see where we lie. But let's get into S&P now. S&P 500. So pretty much a similar story here, not as severe as, let's say, the Dow was, but everything kind of faced some heat here, as you'll see. Rough Monday, so we started off somewhere around the 2,900 range for the week. And then Monday, obviously, bad Monday. This was the result of that tweet regarding tariffs. Tuesday, made up for it. So we ended up about even. And then Wednesday hits and right it open. Just absolute disaster. Fall significantly. And it was a rough day. People were scared. But same thing with the Dow. Markets rose after that. So right after Wednesday hit, Wednesday through the afternoon, we started to rise a little bit more, so it wasn't as severe as it started off at open. But then Thursday, Friday were good days, and we ended up a little bit pretty much even as compared to where we started off on Monday. So our 5-day performance about 0.46% down. So really just in terms of total market, it was a relatively flat week. Nothing significant, even though we had 2 crazy days in there where we lost. So overall, I'd consider it a positive. Some of the performers, top performers in this particular indice was Amgen. A lot of these will be based off of earnings reports, where they saw 5.9%. A couple other significant ones like Cigna. And then as far as our down ones would be DXC, which is based off of bad earnings, as well as Nectar Therapeutics. I believe theirs was off of a stock offering that they were doing. So obviously devaluing the stock as is, and that scared a lot of investors away too. So we saw an extra decrease there. So just a couple of stocks held in the S&P 500 to look at. Finally, we'll look at the NASDAQ. Which encompasses a lot of the tech stocks. Bring this back to the 5-day. So you'll see a lot of your big tech stocks here, your Apples and Facebooks. So we started off right around the 7,900 range. So we see a similar story here, a little bit different. So Monday, very rough day, obviously. We ended very below what we were hoping for. Tuesday made a recovery on that to where we were pretty much even again. Wednesday, obviously, we had the same big drop. Very big drop there. It ended at the end of the evening pretty similar. Thursday was a fantastic day, and Friday was a pretty flat day. So overall, our 5-day range, we're posting a 0.56% decrease. So again, with all the craziness going on, I'm going to say this is a relatively decent outcome to the week overall, because it could have been a lot worse, obviously. So we'll take that, and it definitely provided a few buying opportunities. As we can see here, a couple of the top performers, being Arcadia Biosciences, obviously a penny stock, so I don't typically like to associate with those, but it happens a lot, and that's where you see these huge percentage gains, just because they're such small stocks that if they get one big boon, then they will obviously increase a lot more significantly. Our bottom performers, also penny stocks in terms of percentage. We definitely had a few different big companies too that saw big decreases. So obviously last week Facebook posted a fantastic earnings report, but this week they were down compared to what they were. So I believe there was definitely a fantastic buying opportunity with Facebook due to this drop, and I did purchase some more shares because of it. So honestly, any swing like this is why I'm a long-term investor, but I always keep an eye every day, because you never know when those buying opportunities might pop up. Anything could happen. Obviously, we're in a time of such high volatility that there's pretty much a chance that any given day we could go down 2%. And you think about that, that's just the market in general, so it could be the companies within it could go down even more. So a company could go down 5% in there. It all depends, especially we're in earnings season as well, just about done. A lot of the big companies have already reported, but that's always a good time to keep an eye out, because if someone posts bad earnings, we have some interesting news, bad news regarding trade. Obviously, that's a hot topic right now. That could mean anything in terms of market increase or decrease. Obviously, with such high volatility, my suggestion will always be stay away from trading options. I would not mess with options right now because there's just no way to predict anything right now. So definitely stay away from options. I normally stay away as is, but I'd say overall, pretty decent week in the market, and hope to see you guys next week, and we'll go ahead and do the same thing next week. Absolutely. Alrighty. Have a good one.